Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I cannot be against the increase in the shareholding in a local bank. I just want to remind you, Mr. Speaker, that a few in this Honorable House, the Prime Minister castigated the Labour Party, and I think he has forgotten that the Bank of St. Lucia was a creature of the Labour Party, and at that time it was castigated by the UWP that we were communists and we were taking over a local bank when he decided to buy over Chase Manhattan. So, but the history, Mr. Speaker, the history always comes around. The history always comes. The history always not repeat. History always repeats itself. So when they get up and they castigate the Labour Party and call us all kind of names, there are certain things that they try. There are certain things that they try to forget. Mr. Speaker, the shareholding of the Bank of St. Lucia right now is made up of the Government of St. Lucia, 19.36%, the Republic Bank, 19.36%, the National Insurance Corporation, 17.41%, and preference shares held by the National Insurance Corporation of 830,000 preference shares. So this transaction would give the Government of St. Lucia, make it the largest shareholder in the bank, basically, because its shareholdings will increase to 5,157,774 shares. So it will become the greatest shareholder, the largest shareholder. It will have 21%. But, Mr. Speaker, as I said before, I have confidence in the management of the bank. It's a group of young St. Lucians, and I think they're doing a very good job. And the Bank of St. Lucia should be encouraged and should be supported. And this is why we told us, the Prime Minister, many times that in terms of de-risking, it's a very serious situation. And then the opposition has said, but as usual, we will be abused and ridiculed. But, Mr. Speaker, I also have an issue with the two directors on the bank. Not an issue with the persons who are directors. I don't want to be misquoted. I have no issue with the people. I have a problem with the government now putting his hand in a way in the directorship of the bank. So you have the NIC and you have the government. That's just a concern. And I want to I want to say to the people, the individuals, that they must take decisions based purely on straight financial decisions and not political. Don't let political situations sway them one way or the other. Just an advice. I'm not casting any aspersion. I'm just saying that when you're appointed by the government, there's a tendency to believe that you must do what the government says. And I hope that the director of the bank, the directors who are appointed by the bank, albeit some of them may be strong supporters of the government, they should understand that they have a duty. They have a duty to the shareholders and a duty to the people. In terms of the share price, the Prime Minister said the shares are bought for $5. I will not. In 2018, the shares traded at $4.17. But if you are projecting growth, so I think $5 may be a reasonable amount to pay, although I would have erred on the side of caution and paid a little less than $5. But it's because it was sold at $4.17 in the year 2018. But I wonder, Mr. Speaker, whether the public of St. Lucia could not have been invited to, whether the public could not be invited to purchase some of these shares instead of the government. I think the bank has begun to make profit, and I think the people of St. Lucia, the shareholders, the existing shareholders, plus new shareholders, I'm wondering whether they could not be invited to buy at least $200,000 of her shares, and the government take the rest. It's something that we should look at, because you see, the idea of the government sometimes it scares people, and it's not because there's no faith in the bank, but people get afraid of the government. You know, people get afraid of the long hand of government. So I was wondering whether the public should not, the long hand of the government, I'm wondering whether the public should not be invited to buy some shares. But I'm glad that they corrected the resolution that was passed, that was circulated. I'm happy they corrected it. So just a word of caution. I hope that the government does not use its increased directorship to try to unduly influence the workings of the bank, and I wish the Bank of St. Lucia well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.